Oi, it's your boy on a vegan here. I just want to talk about Greta Thunberg. You know, she was on the news recently. I went on Twitter and she was up on the news and everyone was talking about her. And yeah, so I just want to talk about that. I guess the title of this video is Greta Thunberg gonna save the world? When she starts, so she's 18 now, and she started when she was 15. So it's been 3 years now. So it's been a while that she's been in the news, and she's been, been a very polarizing figure in the mainstream media, in the news in general. You know, a very outspoken climate change activist. You know, as I'm sure you've heard of her. So is she gonna save the world, or what? I just generally think about her, and I think. For one thing, I'll say is that she's done an incredible job at inspiring the youth. Putting the message out there, raising awareness for climate change and how severe and problematic it is. And it's a very serious threat that's to humankind, to mankind, to the planet. Not just mankind, but the animals as well. They're gonna also die if climate change continues, and the ice caps melt and all that stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, she's done a great job. So I'm not sure why I'm looking directly at the camera, but she's done a great job raising awareness, and she inspired so many young kids, to, do their bit, raising awareness in their local communities, plant trees, and but I think this whole thing going to the United Nations and talking and saying, "How dare you took in my future," she's like, it just feels almost privileged. She's like a spoiled little kid who's never been to third world countries. Those people, but she's not wrong. They're definitely taking other people's futures away. There's hundreds of people have been killed due to climate related incidents. Tsunamis, all sorts of floods. Hundreds of people been killed. In Asian countries. Droughts, so yeah, lack of food and stuff like that. It's all related, the whole, we all live under the same bridge, if you will. How do I say it? We all live under the same roof, one action in one country is going to have severe consequences, one society, what one country does, for example, America, who uses more energy, more resources than anyone else on the planet, like one kid or one family or one city than anyone else in that third world country. And then that affects them in that country, from lack of food, from the climate disasters. So she's saying they stole her future. For another 100 years, there'll still be a future, I say. Although definitely, animals extinct, fish becoming extinct, oceans depleted, lack of water, lack of resources, the soil's becoming less fertile. Also, the problem with soil is now, because of the fertilizer and all the chemicals they're using, what happens is that the soil produces food that has less nutrition. So if you go back 50, 60 years ago, food that was produced and grown had more nutrition, more vitamins, more minerals. So food now, you're going to have to eat more food to get the same amount of vitamins and minerals and all the antioxidants and stuff. So yeah, definitely her future, I wouldn't say it's been stolen. So, but I think that's kind of besides the point. What I want to say is she going to save the world? Is this, I think it's a start, it's a start going to the government. But the thing is, going to United Nations and pleading with these governments who are essentially there to preserve the interest of the corporations, which corporations, a thing, it's an entity that has no feelings, no emotions. It's all about profit. It doesn't matter how, they don't care. These corporations, the people who run them, they don't care. All they think about is short-term goals, making enough money for their shareholders, increasing their sales. And so they don't care about the climate, And in the West, they might pretend we're doing everything we can to change and this and that, but then they, like companies like Tesla and Apple, say we support Black Lives, or we support climate Paris Agreement or whatever, and then they go and buy cobalt and and buy these extremely rare precious metals from child laborers and slave labor, basically. So it's just this contradiction of what one thing they say to the public in the West, and another thing they do behind the back. So I think going to the government and appealing to these countries and their leaders is hopeless. It's never going to achieve anything. They don't care. They don't have emotions. They don't care. They don't care about the future. They care about themselves and how much money they make. They don't care about the animals. They care about the planet. So appealing to their morality is appealing to them based on ethics. It's not going to work. So I think for one start, what can we do as individuals is at least one problem is animal agriculture. Let's destroy that industry completely. So what we can do as individuals in the West is not buy animal products. Stop giving them money. Because if we shift the whole paradigm of the capitalist system, we invert it and support businesses that only do things that are environmentally friendly, things that are good for the planet, for our health, and for the animals. If we shift the global capital and where it goes towards these companies, these corporations will adapt and shift. They follow the money. So that's one solution we could do. Is everyone goes plant-based, stop buying, and even if a plant-based company is not very environmentally friendly, we encourage it, we boycott it, we strike that company, and that plant-based company and try to make it more environmentally friendly and sustainable, I mean, that's just one thing, There's, of course, other issues. The transport industry is also contributing massively to CO2 emissions. But animal agriculture is one big sector that does nothing good for anyone. It doesn't do anything good for you. It doesn't do anything for the animals. In fact, it kills them, enslaves them, and it doesn't do anything good for the environment. It's like a trifecta of just negatives. It's just three negatives. And there's so many animal meat-free options now that I don't see any point for eating animal products. It's just like, oh, it tastes good. Oh, it's like this and that. I mean, drugs feel good. That's not a good justification for doing drugs, though, is it? Or heroin. Heroin feels pretty good. Is that a good justification? Anyway, I think so. That's one solution. Another thing we could also do is like a Western. Look, we're consumers. We have the power. They don't realize, but there's more of us than them. The 1% versus the 99. If we all unite, stop this racism bullshit. Stop this political divide. Stop this immigrants are bad and this or that, or racist Nazis, whatever. Even you can even convert a Nazi. You can convert an extremist. Once you show him his way is wrong, why it is wrong. That's why I hate these right-wing extremists and this left-wing extremists. These Antifa and the Proud Boys. They think violence is the solution to all their problems, but it's not. It doesn't help when you exert violence into someone. It doesn't help them convince you to be on their side. It doesn't change their way of thinking. So I always thought these extremists, people like angry, oh, I'm angry, fuck this and that. It's like, that doesn't solve anything. You just say, it's just emotions. It doesn't actually give actionable solutions to the problems. So if we all unite as people, as humans, we can change the world. So this whole thing, the Democrats, like I'm giving an example, even in England, Conservative, Labour, left wings are bad, right wings are good. It's like, no. You know what's bad? It's these governments don't really care, or any party really doesn't care about you. Or they're there. The only reason they get elected is to serve the interest of these corporations. And just like Trump and just like Biden, he's got people that elected them, him, he's got people, his masters, and Biden has the masters, and everyone and Boris has these corporations have so much money and power, they could buy countries very easily. So I think this whole divide, and that's the thing is, these mainstream media, these parties, these leaders, they're there to divide people. It's a distraction. We could unite, unite and use our money to support companies that care about the animals, care about the environment, care about us, and enact policies that help people, local communities, I mean, like one thing we could do, I'm sure there are initiatives like that. We can create a global fund. For example, a global fund that if people find solutions to environmental problems, to health problems, we can, give them more money to continue that research in that fund, and make it like publicly available to people, this information or whatever their findings they make. So there's like one idea, there was a guy, a philosopher or a politician who made like a world fund, basically, which basically rewards scientific companies finding cures for illnesses that are very prevalent in third world countries, so yeah, like eradicating them and stuff like that. So we could create a whole planet of these people who care about the animals and environment and us and our health and our communities and our future and our well-being. Could create this global fund that could reward people for finding out solutions, not for profit, instead of rewarding people just for profit, rewarding them for actual solutions to world problems that help everyone. So yeah, so that's one solution. I mean, there's of course many different ways, but I mean, and people say, oh well, it's hopeless, it's inevitable, climate change. Well, maybe even if it is the case that the world is going to end, and that everyone is going to die, and that why shouldn't we still continue fighting? Why shouldn't we give up? When there's great evil out there, and people thought they're going to be defeated by this evil, they carry on fighting in the past. They fought for the right cause, and I think it's a stupid excuse to say that, oh, just because just because it's hopeless, we should just give up. No, we shouldn't. We should carry on. Maybe something will change, So, and to all these people who are, saying climate, these climate deniers and people like, it's hard to convince you, when you've been indoctrinated since you're a child, or all the political leaders that you believe. Most politicians and leaders and people that you look up to, they manipulate the truth. They don't tell you the truth, because it's in their own interest. It's profitable, And it's like, it's a hoax, and it's like the only reason people say that, like, there's this guy in America, like a billionaire, he said he made a whole think tank, a whole like newspaper website to deny and refute climate change and stuff like that. I don't know what's the problem about being environmentally friendly. Being healthy, and clean, breathe clean, fresh air. How is this a hoax? Even if there is no climate change, why do you want a polluted city? I go to London and I just can't breathe. If you go to any capital in the city, like capital in the world, it's just so polluted and dense. It's just you can't breathe. It's like I have struggle breathing. And I don't even know how people live here. When I go back to my town where I live, it's like I can finally breathe, It's just crazy. I don't see, even if there is no climate change, why do you want to live in a world that's just full of shit? Animal shit, CO2 emission shit, all sorts of shit, bad health, people dying. So it's like, even it's just, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. So there's this guy, it's just these think tanks, they're designed to just fight the climate change hoax. It's not a hoax. Go look at the ice caps. Go look at all the polar bears. They don't have any food. Just open your eyes. It's so palpable. You can feel it and sense it. I just don't understand it. But anyway, sorry I'm going off these tangents and stuff. But yeah, so that's one thing. But, what Greta Thunberg does and in these strikes and stuff like that, I mean, massive civil disobedience is great. And I think that's a start. But I think where people choose to spend their money every day, on companies that, trying to change, trying to do their things, trying to make things better, we should support those companies where we spend our money. So choose your dollars wisely, choose how you spend your money wisely. But I just think, I mean, going to governments and going to United Nations and saying, how dare you, and took these emotional speeches, they're great to raise self-awareness. But I think when you go to these talks and I think you should stay calm, use rationale, use logic to present your facts and appeal to more people. Because I think a lot of people are going to be very divided, and you hear like all these, everyone saying, oh, these white 34 males just hate Greta, and they joke about her. It's like, maybe just use different methods of communicating information. But even then, going to the United Nations and make these emotional speeches are going to do very little. Climate change agreements and all that, and Paris agreements, and like they're good, but they're not good enough. First of all, I didn't even think the Paris Agreement was non-binding, and second of all, two of the biggest polluters, China and America, are not even in that agreement. As far as I'm aware, I think Biden went back on the talks and I think re-signed the deal, but like it's just they're not very enforceable. And most of these, like, if China is not in it, then we got a problem, because like China is like one of the biggest polluters, and most of the factories, most of the outsourcing is happening in China. So these companies who in the West on their Twitter accounts or whatever claim to be pro-environment and believe for positive change go and exploit people in third world countries, and in China, where it's just like nuts. So I don't know what to do about like what do you call them, authoritarian regimes like China. But even people in China, they could start spending money more wisely and looking at companies that invest in renewable resources and things that are more environmentally friendly. Still the yen or whatever. Use your yen wisely, or use your money, any money currency you have, use it wisely. But honestly, it's looking grim. It's looking pretty bleak, to be honest with you. I mean, I'll probably be dead by then, but if I lead a healthy lifestyle, and plus, like, my great granddad, grew up in the Soviet Union and lived to like 102. I'm probably gonna live maybe it's 100, maybe. I mean, if nothing happens to me, like if I get shot or whatever, or stabbed or get hit by a car. But I'm most likely gonna live a pretty long life. So things are gonna get much worse unless people revolt. I think a revolution is going to happen maybe in the next 20 years if these corporations just keep destroying people's lives and sucking the natural resources, completely depleting them, completely depleting them. And the thing is, they're depleting them and from these poor nations, there's this thing in ethics or like in the topic I study called the resource curse, which essentially basically says that for the majority of the countries that hold the most natural resources, like the most amount, oil and gold and stuff, they're the poorest, most deprived countries where there's authoritarian regimes, there's no politics, there's no reliable government, there's no human rights. Could name a few countries like Congo, Algeria, just a bunch of African, Asian countries, where there's a bunch of resources. So there's this natural resource, and all these companies are making profit off natural resources of these people. They're entitled to compensation, but still they don't get anything, because it's their land. They should get a compensation for the harm that it's done, these companies have done. Anyway, so like it's looking pretty bleak, unfortunately. I'm sure you've seen the new documentary on Netflix, Seaspiracy or something like that, or something. It's what we've done to the oceans, and something like in 26 years there won't be any wild fish left, basically. But I was talking to like my one of my family members, and he said like, oh yeah, well that's I said that to him, and he's like, well that's that's pretty bad. You're not gonna have any fish. It's like, well, thanks a lot, your generation's like, well, it's not our fault. What do you mean, thanks a lot? And he's just denying things, and like, whilst he's eating fish. It's quite ironic. It's like, well, you're not going to have any fish in the future. It's just, people don't care. That's how selfish people are, It's crazy, this thing about diet. It's like, people would rather die than change their diet or the way they eat. It's crazy. conditioned to believe that way, and just it's crazy how hard for it is to people to give up their bad habits. I thought, oh, you're not gonna have any fish, then I won't be alive. Then it's like, oh, great, thanks a lot. It's like I'm gonna, it's like these suicide bombers. Oh, I'm gonna blow up people. It doesn't matter. I won't be alive. I don't care. People are gonna use stupid excuses and lame arguments to justify just about anything. Oh, I'm just gonna make a nuclear bomb and drop it. But I don't care. I won't be alive, so I'm gonna blow up the bomb with me or something. It's just these people. Oh, it's crazy. Just don't care about the future, about other people at all. Or and some people just don't realize how their actions affect the world. Pretty much everything you do in the world affects others as a long reverberate. I can't even speak. It reverberates. It bounces around the world. Most of the actions you do. So anyway, sorry for the long video, but I thought I'd put it out there. But still, I think Greta Thunberg does a lot of good stuff, but I think she should just tone it down on emotions. She's become a celebrity now, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't care. People becoming famous and, making a living off activism, that's good for them, but to be honest, I wouldn't want to be famous at all, anything in the public light. I don't want to be that. I like privacy and I like peace and quiet, but I prefer to educate a few people and spread some information. And I don't know. After I finish my degree, maybe I'll go into academia and write stuff that, I'm really passionate about politics and environment and ethics. So I'm going to pursue my passions and do my bit to educate people and spread information, because information is power after all. But I think she should also focus a little bit more on veganism. I know she doesn't do it because it's not very popular, or it's very divisive. Oh, these vegans. I want my meat and this and that. But I think she should push the vegan message a bit more and talk about if we want to really change the problem of climate change, driving electric cars won't be enough. Eating animal products has to stop. It's unsustainable. It's harmful to the environment. It's not good for our health. It's not good for the animals. There is no good reason to sustain this industry. It's like smoking. It's like cigarette and it's like tobacco and alcohol industry. With alcohol, it's if you drink once in a while, maybe a glass of wine, that's not going to kill you. But with smoking and animal products are more likely to kill you, So even though alcohol is still bad for you. So yeah, these industries, they make money off killing and harming people. And I don't understand why people support these industries anymore. And it's outdated and unethical. There is no justification for it. So I think she should push on that and focus on that. But anyway, comment down below what you guys think. What's your opinion? Share the video. I like it. That'd be a great help, to expose not necessarily the channel, but just the information. And I truly believe even the most fanatical and radical people can be changed. With reason and logic and showing them the way. Some people, of course, can't be changed. Maybe like Islamic extremists, people who kill others and cut their heads off. They've gone too far. But I think people who are use just a bit of physical violence, I think they can be reasoned with. I think we can change. I think we should all unite as people. Stop this racism bullshit. Because honestly, who cares about this skull of your kin? What Martin Luther King said, it's not about your skin color and stuff. That doesn't matter. It's about your character, you as an individual, what actions you do. I judge people based on their actions. If they're a bad person in the way they act, then they're a bad person. It's got nothing to do with skin color. It's got a lot to do with your background and as in your upbringing, your environment. But it's got nothing to do with your skin color or your race or whatever. So yeah, I think we could all unite and we could change the world, and I think we have the power to do so. But I think people need to wake up and stop living in a fantasy world and start living in the real world. And the real world is nasty, brutish, and short to some. So yeah, but sorry. I hope you enjoyed this video, and share the video, and give it a thumbs up, and comment down below what you think. And thanks for the watching. I hope you stayed till the end, and peace out.